Alright, picture this. You're 21 years old, living in Egypt, with the Nile River flowing through the land like the lifeblood of civilization. And you, my friend, you're not just anyone. You're Cleopatra, the queen who's ready to conquer everything, not just Egypt. Now, I'm not talking about a fairy tale. I'm talking about a woman who's got ambition bigger than the Great Pyramid itself. And trust me, her rise to power was anything but simple. Let's dive in. Let's rewind to 69 BC. Cleopatra is born in Egypt, the land of the pharaohs, the pyramids, and yes, the iconic Sphinx. Her full name? Cleopatra VII Thea Philopator. And no, it's not just a fancy title. It literally means Cleopatra, the goddess who loves her father. Now, that's one way to let people know you mean business. Her father, Ptolemy XII, wasn't exactly a fan favorite. In fact, he was more like that one relative who promises to fix the Wi-Fi, but never actually does it. When he dies, Cleopatra becomes the rightful heir, but here's the catch. Her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, also co-rules with her. Imagine that, two royal siblings in charge of a whole kingdom. Not exactly a dream team. It's more like Game of Thrones, but without the dragons and a lot more sand. Now, here's the thing about Cleopatra. She wasn't just a pretty face sitting in the palace all day. She was incredibly smart. I'm talking about polyglot level smart. She could speak Egyptian, Greek, Hebrew, and maybe even some Latin, which, by the way, is more than most people can say when it comes to handling their inboxes. So, Cleopatra, being the genius she was, wasn't just sitting around waiting for her brother to mess things up. No. She thought big, really big. She knew Egypt's power would only last if she had a solid ally from outside her borders. And who better than the most powerful man in the world at the time, Julius Caesar? Yes, that Julius Caesar. The one who got stabbed by his best friend, Brutus, and still made history with his last words. Et tu, Brute? Cleopatra knew she had to make a big entrance. So how does she do it? She gets herself rolled up in a carpet. Yes, you heard me right, and smuggled into Caesar's palace. Imagine Caesar's face when he unrolls the carpet and finds Cleopatra inside. I mean, I'd be impressed too. But this isn't just a cool spy move. It's Cleopatra's first big political play, and it works. Caesar is intrigued, and they start working together. Okay, so this whole getting rolled up in a carpet thing works out really well. Cleopatra and Caesar hit it off. They form an alliance, and eventually, spoiler alert, they have a son together named Caesar Ion. And let's be real, that name, Caesar Ion, sounds like he's already destined for greatness, doesn't it? I mean, can you imagine growing up as Caesar's son? You're basically set for life. So, with Caesar's support, Cleopatra takes control of Egypt. And you'd think, alright, job done, right? But here's the thing, it wasn't just a political alliance. They actually had a pretty great relationship. Cleopatra and Caesar were like the ancient version of power couple goals, just with fewer social media photos and more political maneuvering. Now, enter Mark Antony. He's a military general, part-time politician, full-time party animal, and most importantly, one of Caesar's closest allies. When Caesar gets assassinated, Rome's political landscape turns into absolute chaos. And who steps in to fill the power vacuum? You guessed it, Mark Antony. And guess who he needs to ally with? Cleopatra. This isn't just a political move, it's also love, but mostly politics. At first, it's all about who can help who in the grand game of power. Mark Antony knows that Cleopatra, with her intellect and charm, is the perfect ally. But what happens next? You're thinking, wait, didn't Cleopatra already do this with Caesar? Well, yeah, but now it's not just politics. It's personal. Cleopatra and Antony have not one, not two, but three children together. Now that's what you call a royal power couple. But here's where things get spicy. The Roman Senate? They're not too happy about Cleopatra and Antony's relationship. They're like, hold up, this is not how we do things in Rome. So, they start stirring the pot, declaring war on Cleopatra and Antony. Cue the epic showdown. The Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Cleopatra and Antony face off against Octavian, who eventually becomes Emperor Augustus. This naval battle could decide the fate of the world. But, plot twist, it doesn't go as planned. Cleopatra and Antony lose, and they're forced to retreat to Egypt. Now things are looking bad. Antony, thinking Cleopatra has already died, spoiler alert, she hasn't, takes his own life. But Cleopatra? She's still kicking. She tries to send a message to Antony saying, hey, I'm still here, let's go back to Rome together. But by the time he gets the message, it's too late. So now we're at the end of the story. Cleopatra, who once snuck into Caesar's palace in a rug, is facing the end of her reign. Her lover is gone, her empire is crumbling, and the Roman army is closing in. She knows it's over. In one final act of defiance, she takes her own life. Some say she poisoned herself. Others say she used a snake bite. Either way, it's tragic. Cleopatra, the woman who once ruled an empire, was gone. But here's the thing. She wasn't just a beautiful woman. She was a genius, a strategist. Someone who knew how to play the game of power. And that's why she's remembered as one of the greatest rulers in history. Cleopatra's legacy is about more than just her looks or her love life. It's about how she used her intellect, her alliances, and her political savvy to remain relevant in a male-dominated world of power struggles. Look to Cleopatra, the queen who literally rolled up in a carpet to get the job done, outsmarted Rome, and went down in history as one of the most brilliant rulers ever. Could we ever pull that off? Maybe, but we'd need more than just a rug to make it happen.